Welcome to Line by Line. My guest today is 2mørVs. Hi. And we are analyzing a great song by the great Beatles called Glass Onion. So, Marvin, why did you pick that song?
Um, because it has no meaning, to be to be honest. Um, uh, John Lennon was not fond of people over analyzing his songs. Kind of a weak move, I don't know, but he wanted to write a whole bunch of nonsense in a song so that people could uh, just go from red herring to red herring and not find anything meaningful in it. Obviously, that backfires when you try to just use the chaos, let's say, then you're inevitably going to write something um, that has meaning, but you just don't see it here and there, I assume. But yeah, so the reason that I picked it was basically that, so we can just make stuff up. I think that's more fun. And that's also what I'm going to do. I'm going to make stuff up um, and not take it serious.
Disclaimer, making stuff up.
Mhm.
So, um, let's read it stanza by stanza.
That's a good idea. Yeah, so the first verse is I told you about strawberry fields, you know, the place where nothing is real. Well, here's another place you can go where everything flows, looking through the bent back tulips to see how the other half live, looking through a glass onion. So that was like the first verse with the first chorus, a pre-chorus or whatever you want to call it then. Um, I mean, it's obviously full of, this isn't made up, by the way. This is obviously full of callbacks to previous songs, like Strawberry Fields. Everyone knows that one. Um, and interestingly enough, to see how the other half lived, I didn't know that, but there was, I think, in the 1880s, some form of report on how the poor people in England lived, or something like that. I don't know. So that's like a nod to that. The bent back tulips, I also had to look that up. I had no idea. Some callback to a restaurant that they went to from time to time, and I think they decorated the food with bent back tulips. Um, I don't know. So it's just it's just nonsense. Um, but the fun thing here for me always was back in 2015, 2016, my friends and I were obsessing over the Beatles heavily, and we like really heavily. Um, and all the places that the Beatles were mentioning were kind of places that we went to, in a sense. So the strawberry fields were quite familiar to us,
Wow.
and the same with Pepperland. Pepperland played a great role in everything that we did back then. The whole like the song, the Magical Mystery Tour, um, is like a secret hope that we all had that just some night we're gonna hear it's fun. They used the bus, but we were imagining a train uh going off the tracks and just stopping at our house and taking us um with it. Uh and so here's like this another place that you can go, as they say, um is like in the glass onion, let's say. So the glass onion is referring to like hand-blown glass bottles that were primarily used by sailors because they wouldn't tip over. It's just it like this form gives them more stability. But obviously, if you look through it, you're gonna it's gonna be distorted in some way. And so what John is saying here technically is like you're looking through a glass onion, you're distorting everything by overanalyzing. I don't agree with him. I think more power to anyone overanalyzing songs. That's a cool thing to do. Um, but I get it. It's so that's I think the idea behind it.
I think he talks about alcoholism
Hmm,
because
fair.
you see how it's structured. Well, there is another place you can go where everything flows.
Hmm.
And then he talks about the backband tulips and the other half, the poor people. And looking through a glass onion, I suppose the bottle is already empty. It's when you are drunk and the bottle is empty, you sort of like, you know?
Hmm.
And so you go into that space where everything flow. I, of course, making that all up.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I always understood glass onion to be like one of these, like, I don't know what they're called in English, but it's like glass and there's water in it and some glitter or whatever, and then you can shake it, and you have like maybe a little house, and then it snows on the
Mm.
house or something. So I always thought of a glass onion to be that. I mean, obviously, like, I was wrong, but still, I thought of a glass onion to be that, and so it's like a place preserved in time that's protected from the outside world, which is why everything flows. It's like everything's going easy there. There's nothing
Ah.
weird. Everything is in harmony, something like that.
Oh,
Um,
you mean like this magic snowball and everything
yeah,
like
right,
super slowly flows in there, like
right.
that. Interesting.
That's
You see, you seen
I
that?
mean,
I've seen like the bottom of the barrel of the bottle itself.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I mean, again, this song has no meanings. It's everything is correct or nothing is correct. A very postmodern approach.
I I would
Um,
like Paul to explain it to me.
Yeah, I'll write to him. He'll probably reach out. Yeah, he asked me a few times if he could maybe you could talk to Kara. I'd like to do a line by line. I was like, yeah, Paul, but she's got stuff to do. Um,
I
so
would
yeah,
love to. I would love
I'll
to.
reach out. Mhm. I'm making stuff up again. So yeah, that's that. But yeah, like this, like the Glass Onion place, was one of those other places that were just kind of special to us back then. It's like different from Pepperland because Pepperland over time got uh pretty much destroyed. Um, uh, because actually staying in Pepperland doesn't maintain Pepperland. Pepperland gets destroyed the longer you stay there. Not in Beatles law, just in my law of it. But we had a just like a side information, we had a habit of making stuff up back then. Um, I remember that back in my old apartment or house, um, I didn't have I didn't have a basement, but we acted as if I had a basement. And this went on for so long that other people who came in there kind of always thought that I had a basement. They just never saw like the door where you can get to it. And we talked about it in such great detail that I have the layout in my head. I know what came where and what exactly was placed in, in which room and so on. So it was just kind of our thing back then to make places up and then stay there. It was kind of very weird. Very weird. I told you about the walrus and me, man. You know, that we're as close as can be, man. Really great rhyme, by the way. Um, well, here's another clue for you all. The walrus was Paul, standing on a cast iron shore, yeah. Lady Madonna trying to make ends meet, looking through a glass onion. So again, like the walrus, like that's the song.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the Walrus. It's a great song. Cuckoo Cuckoo. Awesome lyrics. Um, and here's another clue for you all. The Walrus was Paul. This is, in a sense, it's a nod to the I don't know if it's conscious nod, but people took it that way later. It's a nod to the Paul is dead theory, which says that Paul McCartney died in 1966 or something in a car crash, and then was replaced by a Paul McCartney lookalike who's called William Shears, William
Mm.
Campbell Shears. and the Beatles, because they so the idea was that the MI5 or MI6 made the Beatles lie about Paul not being dead, so that they wouldn't
Oh.
have mass panic, because that was basically at the height of the Beatlemania, and
Mm-hmm.
the girls were like they were losing consciousness all the time. They were Some of them were peeing their pants while they were waiting for the Beatles. So like it was really crazy, and they were afraid of like a mass panic where that would be followed by mass suicides of all these young
Oh my
women.
God.
And so they made the Beatles lie and say that Paul is still alive, and here you have this guy who looks like him, and stuff like that. So and people took this as like another nod. It's like the walrus was Paul, and then they make up some weird reason why a walrus is a symbol for death or something like that. I don't know. That's but both is like, I mean, other people then say, yeah, but that's just a lie because the walrus was actually John, because it was in the video. I think it was for Magical Mystery Tour. I'm not entirely
Yeah.
sure about this, to be honest. But in the video, uh, John wore a walrus costume, um, but few people know
Oh.
that the walrus was actually me. But that's a not well-known fact. It's just people don't know. Um, yeah, and like cast iron shore, I think that's a place in England.
Mm-hmm.
Lady Madonna, another nod to well, one of their songs,
Yeah,
and
this
trying
one I remember.
yeah, like trying to make ends meet. Obviously, people are again trying to find some sort of meaning in this song, and John is laughing at them here.
You're right. In that context, glass onion is a distortion. But now I'm thinking back in the day, the TV set was this kind of kinescope. It was not a flat TV, but it was kind of blown towards
Yeah.
you. Also, if you imagine the kinescope from the inside, the kinescope TV sets, it kind of looks like that bottle from the
Hmm.
inside. I actually think they might mean those old-fashioned TV sets as well. Again,
Possible.
completely making.
Yeah, I mean, since John is I mean dead now, but also was
Mhm.
refusing to write something meaningful, we're just gonna say, yeah, that's it. Yeah, the glass onion, it was actually a TV. That's the true meaning behind this, yeah, for
Old-fashioned
sure.
kinescope TV. Then, if it's like that, looking through at Lady Madonna, all of that, you kind of see it through a glass onion.
Hmm.
Perhaps.
No, no, for sure. But what's he gonna do? Tell us no? Good luck with that, John. Not gonna
Um,
happen.
you definitely have a thing. Okay, so next stanza, the bridge, I will read it. It's he exclaims 3 times, oh yeah," and then the third time he actually screams, "Oh yeah!" That thing. Looking through a glass onion.
Hope we're not getting
Uh,
copyright strike for this.
it's totally self-explanatory, right? Again, he
Yeah,
means bottle and the TV set.
yeah, and also if you look at the symbolic significance of saying "oh yeah" 3 times, that might be a nod to a Christianity and like the Holy
The two smaller ones and the big one.
No, like you have like the Trinity, which is like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, and they're all like saying yes to life, all 3 persons of the Godhead, and so that's just or it's like the holy, holy, holy that the angels sing, or yeah, probably it's just John telling us that he's secretly become a Christian or something like that. Obvious. Or
Very obvious.
yeah. All right. So that's oh, man. So the third verse is I told you about the fool on the hill. I tell you, man, he living there still. Well, here's another place you can be. Listen to me. Fixing a hole in the ocean, trying to make a dovetail joint, looking through a glass onion. So Full on the Hill, obviously, another Beatles track that they're referencing here. So it seems like yeah, every verse starts with a reference to a previous song, like a little journey through the catalog. Um, and that's also another place that you can go to, like the hill that the fool lives on. It's like the Beatles. I mean, again, John says he doesn't do that consciously. I don't care. It's like they have their own. It's like their own little parallel universe that they created with this with all the places that they talk about, and it's been a lot of fun spending time there. I'll tell you that. Um, and then fixing a hole in the ocean. I'm not entirely sure if I get that one, but the way that I understand it is like you're not gonna do that. It's like you can't fix a hole in the ocean. That's nonsense. So again, like you can't find meaning in this, is probably what he's saying. Trying to make a do oh, he's just talking gibberish. Trying to make a dovetail joint. Uh, that like a dovetail joint, I think, is something that you put together that has like I don't know that it works like this. You can put it together like this. I either thought he was talking about a joint that
Mm-hmm.
looks like a dovetail. Like there's people like stoners roll joints that have like multiple joints that look like a dovetail. I
Oh,
thought he was talking about
wow.
that. Yeah, it's like if you really want to, that's what they do. Um, like look any watch any Seth Rogen. I mean, don't watch them, but watch any Seth Rogen movie and you're
Shout
gonna
out,
find
Seth.
one of these. No, this is not a shout out to you, Seth Rogen. I'm not a fan. No
You
no
try.
hate, but I'm not a fan, man. Um, yeah.
I hope
Uh,
so.
that's
I think the
and
dovetail joint, it kind of like it's one of those joints that has like a lot of ends, and you like
yeah,
you light up every all of them, but then at the end it's one joint, but like it has a lot of
yeah. That's how they yeah.
science.
I don't know if that's yeah. Sure, science. Um, but then also like a dovetail isn't that like that's
Mhm.
the feathers, and they go into those directions. That's the opposite of something being joined. So again, there's all these red herrings, all
I
these
mean,
feathers,
I
and the
thought dovetail joint is something like that.
yeah,
It's
but
like
it's
with a chair, like you can
like it
make.
is. It is. Like that's the meaning of dovetail. But the picture in my head, not being perfect in English back then, especially, uh, I always thought of like just a dovetail, and all the ends go into different directions, and so it's the opposite of something that's joined. It's something that like go like grows apart,
Mhm.
and that's it's the same thing with this song, which like you can't make out of proper meaning. I mean, I can if I make stuff up, but there's no there's no real like thread that's following through all of it. So yeah. So again, he's saying we're looking through a glass onion, and then musically the song ends like this as well. Like you have this more rock-like song. It's not rock, but like fast, and then the end is just weird. The bass playing really slowly, and then the strings sounding kind of off, and it's just dissolving into nothingness. And it's the same thing that happens like lyrically. So yeah.
The dovetail joint, it reminded me of a story.
Hmm.
So some cats that my mom kept, they kind of ruined the cord, and so TV wasn't working. And my mom really wanted to watch some TV show that starts at this specific hour. There was like an episode final or something. So
Hmm.
she decided to clear out the ends of the cord and join the cord, but she wanted the little singular chords not to touch each other. So she made something like that, where she bound each specific chord, but she kept them far away from each other. And
Mm.
then when I came into the room, I broke down laughing, because like she actually managed to join the entire thing with like I don't know, 8 chords or 9 chords, and it
Not
was
bad.
looking like the star, something like
Not,
that.
not bad. Sounds
Yeah, with
sounds
her
like an
like
OSHA violation. So,
but fixing the hole in the ocean, trying to make a dovetail joint, actually
yeah.
brought me to that memory. Oh, so I guess there is something in what you are saying, like when you create a bunch of gibberish, chaos, people will still find relevant information. There is
Yeah.
something that stands out. Like for you, the places, you actually noticed all the Easter eggs, all the mentions of previous work. And like I like, not knowing their work so well, I went into my own memories. I tried to find sense in it.
hmm
And the Fool on the Hill, I'm thinking about the
Gesture or jester?
jester, like, you know, divine
Ah, okay.
fool, a fool,
Yeah.
like who makes.
hmm
And I think that song is like that.
hmm
The entire song is kind of gesturing, bring a
Yeah.
bunch of information to people so they can actually notice some insight.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's how it works. I agree with you. Uh, so I mean the overarching story is like John is very clear about this, that Paul actually died in 1966, and that he's trying to come clean about it, but the MI5 or whatever is gonna kill him if he doesn't. And I mean, prove me wrong. Wasn't he shot? So I assume I was right uh about this. Uh yeah.
Didn't people who say conspiracy theories later on with time had been proven right?
Some,
Yeah. This
some, some.
conspiracy hasn't been yet proven, but maybe there is
It
some.
also hasn't been disproven.
That's true. That's
Prove that
true.
to me.
I can't. I can't. We need to ask MI6 or MI.
Yeah, I'll write to my contact person and ask him if
Don't worry, they will find you.
I are you sure about
They
that?
are-
Yeah.
Oh my
Hmm.
God. Guys, please don't. We are joking.
Yeah,
Uh,
this is not I am not self-delete title at all. And yeah, I'm not tired of life, so anything weird that might happen, I didn't do it. Just just so you know.
wow.
Always gotta be
Okay.
careful.
Okay.
Because I mean obviously this is the greatest conspiracy of maybe the past 300 years. That Paul McCartney actually died in 1966. My favorite, like my take on it, like my actual take on this whole thing is, by the way, that he didn't die. This is actually it is Paul McCartney. If he did, it would be funny because the stuff that he wrote afterwards was better than the stuff that he did before. So kind of the Beatles just, that was a plus for them because they got a better bassist with William Shears. But my take on it is that he didn't die, and that the Beatles did plant all those clues because some of them are quite convincing, but they did that to mess with Paul. They just thought it was funny that, okay, so we're gonna make people believe that you died. And it is funny because to this day, people are still believing it. And to this day, people are still coming up to him and telling, I know that you actually are William Shears. I know that the real Paul McCartney died. And there's been times when he was kind of pissed about it. And I just think that it's really funny to like mess with your friends and then have this joke, this practical joke, still be in place 50 or 60 years later. I think that's amazing.
Yeah. Um, so most of the Beatles were born in year 40. So it's like, I think, yeah, in year 40. So I guess Paul would be maybe 42 or something. So in 66, Paul would be either like 24 or 26.
Yeah, in his 20s for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
And
other. Oh, please go on. Excuse me.
it seems to me that with maturity, it's normal to write better songs. But like, let's not disprove the theory.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, let's see if my discography proves that right at some point. I hope so. Um, yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, there's a few things that come together. Like, one of them is that that's another um, reference, by the way.
I know that song. Come
So,
together right now.
so there's a few things that come together. For example, the Beatles didn't really play live after 66 or 67. They did from time to time, but very rarely. And so people say that was because it was because the arrangements just got too big. And also the PA system wasn't good enough. The people were screaming louder than the Beatles could play, so the Beatles couldn't hear each other on stage. So that was like one of the problems. Um, and there's like if you look at other songs like Don't Pass Me By, for example, where Ringo sings I'm sorry that I doubted you. I was so unfair. You were in a car crash and you lost your hair and stuff like that. It's like t totally out of the blue. Um, and Day in the Life is another one of those. I think in Strawberry Fields, if you play it backwards, you hear John saying either cranberry sauce or I buried Paul. I don't know. Listen to it, make up your own mind about it. There's a bunch of funny little stuff like things that just come together quite nicely.
Come together. Oh my
Like, oh,
God. I did not know any of that. Luckily, we were able to make these things up. To
yeah,
make those things up.
yeah. I mean, it's a rabbit hole to fall into for sure. You'll be entertained. I don't think it's true. I think it's just some guys messing with each other, to be honest. Yeah.
Can you imagine right now? Like I have to tell to people, Beatles, like back in the day, they were as famous as K-pop today.
I can imagine that you have to say stuff like that, and I hate it. I'm I'm a snob about this. Like, I think all the people who are like, "Oh, the Beatles are overrated," they are full of nonsense. Um, the Beatles were an amazing band, and if you don't see that, then you're wrong. That's a youth thing then. Uh, yeah,
Exactly.
that's a youth thing.
Marvin, would you like to summarize before we close?
Yeah, Paul McCartney died in 1966. This song is undoubtable proof. And it's also everywhere that John talked about it. He said, "Hello, this song is my proof and my confession that Paul McCartney actually died." You can look up any interview. It's definitely true. I'm not lying right now. I'm not making this up at all. Um, and Imagine is a really bad song. John also foretells this in this song. I don't know, I don't care in which line, it's not a good song. Um, and Ringo is the best Beatle, but not the best musician in the Beatles, but he's the best Beatle still. Anything else? Nah, I don't think so. Oh yeah, my Beatles law is more funny than the actual Beatles law.
That's great. Thank you. That was very funny. Please
Yeah.
check out my line by line analyzing Imagine by Beatles. And and this episode has been sponsored by Free Time. Thank you, Marvin, for bringing your free time and gifting us with it.
Thank you for letting me talk absolute nonsense for I think 30 minutes. It's always a pleasure to not make sense.
That's what line by line is for. Guys, please check out the links below how you can follow and support Marvin. There is new music coming up. Hopefully, our own collaboration. Check out Spotify.
You can go to my Bandcamp right now. It's like you can buy my entire discography. It is very much reduced. I don't know how much. I think like 55 or 65%, something like that. Go and buy it. It's good music. It's about as yeah, it's good music. Go buy it.
Yeah, great New Year's present, great Christmas present. Please check out Marvin's Bandcamp. The link will be below. Thank you so much, and bye. Well, here is a little poll on Twitter that I made. 8 people answered it, and apparently the most popular Beatle is Paul McCartney, who is absolutely still alive. And then John Lennon and George Harrison are kind of like share the equal share. Each got 25% out of 100. And Ringo Starr got the least. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
Ringo is my
people are
favorite Beatle.
yeah, rightly so. People are wrong about this.
Making stuff up.
I'm
Well,
lying.
let's read it.
Yeah, I'm going to be lying now.